How you doing, everybody? I am here, and I'm talking about traffic. I'm so excited to be back. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff, and I do that all the time. Why? Because I want to keep you in the know. I want to educate you. I want to help you know stuff and things. It's been my reason for being for the longest time, and I'm not planning on stopping anytime soon. Oh, Cold Laker, thank you for the gift. If you're watching, know that we're on a bunch of different platforms, 9 of them, in fact. We are on Instagram, YouTube, on both vertical and horizontal. We're on Twitch, Kick. We're on Rumble, YouTube, X, Facebook, and I gotta say that things have been going a little wild on some of these platforms. I'll talk about that in just a minute. Shout out to the folks on TikTok, like Melody, who are moderator, who's a mechanic and just jumped in. Cold Laker, who says hello, cool former cop. I hope everyone's doing well. I'm really hoping for good technical cooperation today, that everything uh, by the computer gods works properly, because it doesn't always. But I think I got the setup working out really well. At 10:35, I'll be joined by Jerry Agar on News Talk 1010. That's the radio station in Toronto that also plays all over Southern Ontario. But we're going to be talking about traffic specifically in Toronto. There's some stuff going on in the news, and he wanted to get my opinion, which is something I often give to folks who ask for it, because I'm an opinionated dude. Now, if you want to listen to that segment and also talk to Jerry on the air, when we hit this button, let's see if this works. It does work. That's what Jerry looks like, and he'll be joining us. But you can call into the show after 10:35, actually before 10:35, to kind of set up. You can go to 416-872-1010 or toll free at 1-877-518-5151. If you do that, you'll be able to participate. You can also text them at their local 416 number. They'll be able to chat with you. Julie Massey says hello to you. Hope you're doing well. We've got, what do we got here? We've got the magical Brandon, who says, good morning, Sean and all, from Key West. I'm back behind the grill for an event. Right on, right on. That is always, listen, the man cooks. He cooks. That's what he does. He's a chef with some serious wheels. How's the new vehicle working for you? He has recently picked up a magical, crazy Mustang that I won't fit into, but it would be nice to look at. Actually, he's got a couple of, he's got cool cars. Anyway, stay safe in southern Florida. Let's see here. Oh. He says the 19 Shelby GT500 makes such a nice road trip car. Had 4 separate drivers want to race on the route to the Keys. I did not participate. That's a good call. For those of you on TikTok, you can't see what I see on the screen, which is putting up the text from Brandon, and those who come in and engage on YouTube, X, LinkedIn, and such. Oh yeah, we're on LinkedIn too. If you jump in on those platforms, I can actually see your stuff and put it on screen. If you're coming in through TikTok, I see you, but the text doesn't show up for everybody else to see. So that's a thing. I see Christy, who's in Instagram, who says, in Illinois, in a construction zone, posted 45 miles per hour and no one working. Can you go faster? Everyone passes me up. I will say that I don't know what the laws are in Illinois. I just don't. We could look them up, but at the same time, the suggestion is follow the signs. I think the U.S. is much more or much less forgiving when it comes to those things. I didn't add to this profile a Canadian flag, and maybe I need to do that in just 1 second. Let's make that happen. Let's add to this profile and all the others a little graphic that says Canada. Okay, stand by as we do this, because we did it last week. It was for the night version of the show, After Dark, and I didn't do it for this one, and now I feel like I should. So let's see. Documents. Hang on. Pictures. We did is this the better one? I think this is the better one. The other one was kind of like, ooh, it's not the better one. Hang on. That's not the better one. If you've got questions about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff, this is the right place. Drop the comments. I think that works. Let's see. We can put that up here. We can make it small. Does that work? I think that works. That was really big. Maybe even smaller. But that'll help our American friends know that what the majority of what I talk about is Canadian. That's not to say we can't talk about America. Just that majority of what I talk about is there. Oh, and let me duplicate that. Hang on. Let me duplicate that. Copy this. Can I copy it? Can I paste it? Live. No, I can't paste it. Why isn't it? Hang on. Hang on, hang on. No, 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 no. Yes, there we go. Okay. Oh, no, there we go. Live editing of the show. Where'd it go? Did it go somewhere? Yeah, there we go. I can put it over for the other plataformas as well. Cool. All right, let's get back into what we was talking about. Oh, and I already have a video of Akela Draconis who sent me jokes for today. So thank you to Akela for that. Let's get back into seeing what is up in the magical land. It says, greetings and salutations from Maddock. Got an error the first time I posted. Weird. Okay. Let's go into TikTok. And Amir wants to know what happens if he doesn't pay a parking ticket. That is a very good question. Now, every jurisdiction could be a little bit different, but generally speaking, if you fail to pay a provincial offenses ticket or a municipal ticket, they can mess with you. So a POT, when it goes to your license won't be renewable. When it goes against your license plate, like a parking ticket does, you cannot renew your license plate. And right now, most people have the benefit of not having to pay or do anything to renew. It just works because that's what the provincial government of Ontario did. They stopped stickers. They stopped charging you money. You just got to keep driving as long as you don't have unpaid fines. As soon as you have unpaid fines, they say it's not fine anymore. You don't get to renew automatically. In fact, you are no longer allowed to drive your vehicle because you didn't pay the fines. And that really does, well, it leads to other charges. Hope that helps. You've got more questions, feel free to ask. That's what we're here for. Dalton M. Strongman joined, and we got here. Oh, if you're watching on TikTok, please do me a solid. Please tap the screen so your fingers go numb. We got like 400 likes, but the more you tap, the more other people are brought to the party. The more people to the party, the better the questions get. It just makes for a bigger pool of stuff, things, and stuff people want to know. That's what I meant to say. Okay, Jono Nicholas. Oh, Rizzy's here. What's going on, buddy? We've got Kaja. Let's see here. Peter, how are you? Darren jumped in. Cool. Nuts joined in. Let's see here. What we got here? User this. SEO. We got. I'm just saying my hellos and seeing what's cooking here. Oh, awesome. Yeah. So big or great opportunity to thank the fine folks at Diamond and Diamond. I got to make one of these for every one of our sponsors. We've got a bunch of them now. You might notice other logos. If I duck my head here, you got ClearGuard. They're a home fortification company, locks and window film to keep the bad guys out, because that's the goal, right? Keeping the bad guys out. Had a couple of intruders last night. Of course, they were masked, but they were very tiny. Had two raccoons trying to figure out how to get into my my trash bin, and we watched them on video, and they were really, really diligent. I was shocked actually as to how much time and effort they went. Now, you see, the night before I forgot to lock it down. So although the top was locked, this big dude with the mask, the raccoon, was able to pull the trash bin and knock it over. And he was going to knock it down the stairs, I'm pretty convinced, but he failed, mostly because he was scared away by someone tougher. Now, what happened? The next day, I properly locked it down. He brought a friend, so two of them. I'm sure they would have had a whole family working on it, but fortunately, they gave up. I live on the border of countryish living, and that occasionally I'll see some wild turkeys walking around, some deer in the backyard, or the back 40. It happens. Oh, someone said TikTok feed is not working, according to Aunt Meldoui. Meldoui. But I'm seeing the TikTok feed. Why is it not working? What do you mean it's not working? Can you not hear me? Am I not hearable? TikTok shows that it's working. Anyone on TikTok who sees, please shut up, because I'm seeing myself on TikTok. I've got a loop feed so I can see what's going on. But I appreciate the heads up. I just don't know why it's not working for you. Creator Steve says, hey, just sent you a new sign posted at Gladstone. Check it out. It's a red circle with a diagonal red slash through it between 3:30 and 6:30, nothing else. I'm going to check that out. I've been seeing some really weird signs. Do you see weird signs in your neighborhood too? Because he does. Thanks for the follow, whoever that was. I just saw a chirp, but I missed the name. Maybe I can set this to stay on the screen longer so I can actually, because I hear the sound. By the time I look, it's gone. But thank you. Oh, wait. Digital Papa followed. I was able to see. Uh, Brian is calling. Let's see what Brian has to say. Hey, Brian, we're live. What's cooking? Oh, one second. I'll put you on speaker so the audience can hear. You're on the live stream.
I love this.
We should bring you in through Zoom, but you're driving, so I'm glad we're hands-freeing it.
Yes, 100% hands-free using Apple CarPlay.
Excellent. We're just in the midst of things, but what kind of car are you driving, and is it fun? And would I fit in it?
You would not fit, not even close. It is the 2026 Toyota Corolla Hatchback FX edition. So it's a low volume special edition Corolla hatchback. Fun to drive, not really super driving enthusiast kind of car, but it's still fun to drive and it looks really cool.
We just to give you an update, for anyone watching, the voice you hear is Brian Max at Brian Max. He just went over 100,000 followers on YouTube. He does car reviews and stuff and things. And we're always out doing stuff and things. But just to let you know, Brandon is in the Keys right now. He's not driving his GTD. He's got his GT500. And he says it's a great car for touring down. It's a Shelby GT500. 2019. He says it's a nice road trip car.
Yes, lovely car. When I tested one of those, I had to fill the tank every single day I drove it.
I can't imagine. Listen, I'm going to get back to questions, but I'll give you a call after the show.
Sounds great.
Okay, thanks for calling in. Ciao. That's so funny. The phone rings all the time. Certain people I'll answer while I'm live streaming. Others I won't. He's obviously in the approved list. Avandro Toronto says, "Good morning. Your Brazilian fan watching again has a question. If a vehicle is stopped at a red light and the driver makes a U-turn, how many tickets can I issue that driver?" Avandro started as a viewer of the show when I was with the Toronto Police, and he was watching, and I inspired him to become a police officer. He became a auxiliary officer first with Peel Regional Police, and has now become a police officer. So if you're talking about what you can write someone who is stopped at a red light and decides to make a U-turn on that red, so you're proceed before green, that's a charge. Making the U-turn in the intersection, it could be an offense. It's not necessarily an offense, but proceed before green could be careless if you saw something really wild and crazy. But if it's just a U-turn and it was all clear and no issue other than entering the intersection, I would just go for the one. But you get creative based on what you see and how you interpret it. Was it unsafe? Because it could be unsafe. Let's see here. But if you had others and you were inspired, let me know what you were thinking of writing them, because this is a good dialogue. This is a good discussion. Okay. Mudman says, or it's Mudman Joe says, "Hello from Niagara Falls." Aloha, Niagara Falls. And what's this? We got Aquaholic75 says, "I have a question about being pulled over. What's the authority for an officer to ask a minor? Ask a minor what? Ask a minor question? Ask a minor a question? Is the minor the driver? Is the minor a passenger? What are we talking about? Because this actually opens up. It says ask a minor passenger for identification. So what's the authority? Thank you it was broken up there. So a police officer can have conversation with anybody in the vehicle. That's not prohibited. If the minor isn't obviously a minor, asking them for identification if they're in relation to an offense, because nobody needs to ID in a motor vehicle except the driver, unless they're a party to an offense. So if it's based on open alcohol, drugs, not wearing a seatbelt, then asking for identification is a legitimate thing. But it doesn't have to be a card to identify. It could simply saying, my name is this, my date of birth is this, I live at this address. And that can be sufficient. Now, if they're itty bitties, if they're little kids, that wouldn't happen, right? Because under the age of 16, the driver's responsible for everything they do. If they don't wear a seatbelt, the driver gets a ticket, not the individual as a passenger. It's funny how that works. Apparently it's working now. Melody says it was not working before. It may have had a glitch. Melody has a defense mechanism related to raccoons, those bandits. they're friendly bandits, aren't they? I honestly would have loved to have just invited them in for popcorn, because I see all these videos on Instagram where people are joining or inviting their friendly neighborhood raccoons in, and they're so dang cute. I know that that's not a good thing, but whatever. I like raccoons. Okay, what do we got? We got stuff. We got first sign of. We got Mary Lynn, who says hello, Sean. I'll come back to the Akela Draconis because I don't want to go out of order, even though I already did. Then we've got Akela, who says first sign of spring. 3 ATV driving down the street in town. That is the indicator of spring. I was going to say it's the lack of snow, but there's been lots of snow. Mind you, it's melting. I did barbecue. Was it last night I barbecued? I think I barbecued last night, and it was good. Yum, yum. It was not too cold. I was out in a t-shirt. I'm ready. Mind you, I barbecue all winter long. Just obviously have to wear a jacket occasionally. Oh, Twitter chat feed isn't working. Let's see here. Let me check. Let me do a little test. And just a reminder that at 10:35, we'll be joined by Jerry Agar on News Talk 1010. He'll be talking about stuff and things. We'll be chatting about some stuff in the media. And the fine folks on TikTok don't seem to see that. Oh, no, it's delayed. That's why Jerry's face will pop up in a second, I imagine. It's the Instagram. There we go. I'm looking at a window that has Instagram, and it's delayed by a few seconds. Anyway, let's go back to the solo screen. So 10:35, Jerry Agar will join us. What time is it now? Yeah, we got time. All right. We got that. I was looking at something. Why did I pick my phone? Oh, I wanted to see X. That's what we were doing. Testing X. Yeah, sometimes the platforms do not cooperate, but sometimes they do. So let's have a look. I'm gonna hit the live, open live video. Hey, it's me. I'm gonna send myself a heart because nobody else did. Okay. Hello. Oh, he says, never mind, it's super delayed. Apparently it's super delayed. And I just saw myself saying that. Okay. You never know what goes on with these darn things. Okay. Brandon says to Brian, I can definitely relate that Shelby loves fuel like I love chicken wings. Oh, I love chicken wings. And I might be going for chicken wings on Wednesday because a friend of mine from the OPP is coming into town. So we might be going for a din-din. Okay. I just saw my own self. That's awesome. Okay. There we go. Let's get back into the questions. Troon Powell says hi. And Digital Papa says, I see you. And cool. We got confirmation. This raccoons are vermin, cause a lot of destruction, carry diseases. So you're saying don't invite them in for popcorn. I understand. Okay, let's have a look here. Okay, let's look at this sign. So I got a sign on Instagram sent to me by my buddy. Let's have a look at what it looks like. This is the sign that it is. This is the one. Yes. What do y'all think of this? The sign, the nothing sign. I've seen this before because there's a video that this is, I think, a clip from. I have no clue what is restricted. And I don't think anyone else does because people have been making fun of this sign for quite some time. What on earth are they restricting? Signs should have some logic behind them. They should be obvious. Did I not make that clearly? Let me bring that up again. Because maybe it wasn't. There we go. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. My name is Sean Shapiro. I do get that. I am a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And if you want to know stuff and things, you're in the right place. So if you've got questions, throw them in the comments because we'll talk about them. And at 10:35, we'll be joined by Jerry Agar on News Talk 1010, at which point we will be discussing some news. There's some stuff in the news, and it's interesting stuff, if I do say so myself. It is discussing construction and lane restrictions and general traffic crappiness. Do you enjoy driving in the city of Toronto? I don't know if anybody does because it's not a lot of fun. It takes I often say that Toronto is an hour away from Toronto, and I think that is accurate. What are your thoughts? Do you drive in the city? Do you avoid the city like the plague? Because ever since I stopped working in the city, I stopped going to the city. I do go there. I was there for the home show when I was hanging out with Clearguard And I went there and driving sucked. It was that simple. It was no bueno. Yeah, that's what happened. Okay. I'm just organizing some things here. Let's hope that all works. I'm just going to message the producer to make sure that we are. I'll see here when they jump in. Cool. All these windows, so many windows. Okay. Um, Ryan says something. We got Harang. Harangid Singh. Okay, I think it's fun driving in the city. Granted, I don't drive for work or even go there often. Well, you make an interesting point. You say you don't drive for work. So when I was in the computer industry many, many moons ago in the 90s, I entered it as a computer geek. I was all about the tech. I loved it. I read about it. I wrote programs. My fun time was computery stuff. When I started working in the industry, I stopped touching my computer outside of working hours. It was no longer fun. It had been ruined. So I totally get that if you are just driving for pleasure and you're just going in to take care of fun stuff like shopping but if you have to get somewhere on time, the stress level associated with it changes everything and it's no longer so fun. You know, there's pay because you get paid, but it's not the payoff like going to a concert and having a great time. Now, if you know what you're doing, you expect the unexpected, you're anticipating a crappy drive, then you leave with the appropriate amount of time and then it's not stressful. So yeah, it becomes real hell if you are doing it the wrong way, which is leaving things to last minute or assuming you can get somewhere faster than you will be able to. Okay. If you got questions about traffic safety, traffic law, throw them in the comments. But if you want to join us shortly, Jerry Agar will be joining us on the live stream, and of course, we'll be joining him on the air for a little Ask a Traffic Cop segment. First, we'll talk about news and stuff affecting the city, and then we'll go into a little Q&A business where if you text or call, you'll have the opportunity to be heard. I just want to see here. We got Nicholas. Let's see here. Put Nicholas Rizzi's questions on the screen. Why doesn't that go on? There we go. You have mentioned that convictions last 3 years on car insurance. Does that same rule apply for stunt driving or drinking and driving? Because I have a hard time believing if I get a car again after 3 years, my car insurance will forget my drinking and driving or stunt driving convictions and all is forgiven and my rates are back to normal. Car insurance are like ex-wives. He says your car insurance are like ex-wives of my dreams that can't let anything go. Prove me wrong, Copper. Prove me wrong. So criminal convictions and you have to know that the conviction for impaired operation is not just a conviction like a POT ticket. We're talking it's a criminal conviction. We're talking a suspension that is going to have a prohibition for driving for a year, followed by an administrative penalty for a year, which can be reduced. You're just not going to be a licensed driver for 2 years. So right away we know you're screwed. And then afterwards, you got to know they make notes. Like I don't know the inner workings of the criminal side of how insurance companies engage, but I know that they're capable of making their own notes. So even though they may only be able to see when you're applying for insurance your recent 3 years for history, if you're with the same insurance company, they're going to know forever that you have that, right? They're going to make a note. Just because they can't do a new search doesn't mean they forget. Now there might be some other kind of way to check. But the video that I put up today talking about the convictions, that was for POTs. I don't know. It may be a longer memory, even in the system for criminal, but I don't know. That said, I will know because I'm going to have to ask some questions, and maybe Creator Steve, if he's watching still, can weigh in. Let's see here. We got Avandra who wants to know, during a traffic stop, what are the most common reasons to give a police officer the authority to search someone's vehicle? Could you list some? So, okay. Yeah, we can talk about this. So a police officer pulls you over. When can they search your vehicle? People want to know because they don't get it. Well, one that nobody knows about or very rarely knows about is if they have the suspicion that you have a speed or a radar detector, something that is involved in preventing police from measuring your speed or enforcing the speed limit. So if they pulled you over for that reason or have a suspicion that you have that in your vehicle, the HTA, the Highway Traffic Act of Ontario, gives them the authority to search your vehicle. So that's one. So if a provincial Act gives the authority, then they have the authority. If something's in plain view, they would have the authority anyway. So if they saw drugs, firearms, alcohol, that would give them the ability to search in that area. That wouldn't mean they can go into your trunk, but they have the ability to search in that area. It could be search incidents to arrest. If they arrest you for something, they could search the vehicle. If they're searching you because they could search the whole vehicle if they are impounding your vehicle. Why? Not because they're trying to find more stuff. In fact, the stuff they find would not be eligible for just being tossed into new charges unless it gets more complicated. So if they're doing an inventory search, that's if we're impounding your vehicle. So let's say you're stunt driving, you're doing 50 over or anything that triggers a stunt driving charge, because there's so much that does. And then they say, okay, we're taking it. Well, let's say you had a brick of gold in the trunk. If we don't check the trunk and we don't know the brick of gold is there, when you pick up the car and you say, hey, where'd my brick of gold go? Now we have a problem. So for the purposes of liability, there is a inventory search that's permissible. Now, here's where I say things can get weird. Let's say I'm doing an inventory search. I open the trunk and holy crap, it's, drugs or pew-pews or some prohibited illegal stuff. The possession of said stuff would be illegal. That's happened to me. I was involved in an arrest for an impaired driver. When I opened the trunk, or when the officer doing the inventory opened the trunk, I should say, boom, lots of dope. That was a problem. Now, can you just grab the dope and lay charges based on the possession of said dope, or do you need a warrant? That's going to be up to it might be either. Could be. I think a warrant would be required, but some people could argue otherwise. So maybe that helps, maybe that don't, but that's a number of ways that you can search a vehicle. The most common ones for searching vehicles are going to be with permission, or party to arrest, or the plain view, or what else did I talk about? Those, yeah. Okay, let's see. Time check. 6 minutes. I got discombobulated. Okay, let's keep going. Oh, by the way, I think I'm almost caught up posting or reposting the episodes on podcast form. What am I talking about? What is he talking about? Sean's talking about podcasts. I'm talking about the fact that I download these episodes and I repost them on social media, specifically podcast format, meaning that you can download them to your phone using your favorite app. If it's Apple CarPlay or Apple Podcasts, I should say, you can synchronize them. They show up in your app if you're following the show. And then you can take them with you on the road. You can be listening to this while you're driving, which is great. If you don't have the opportunity to sit in front of a computer or sit in front of a TV or sit in front of your phone because you're driving, but you don't want to miss out, you can listen later. A lot of people do it. I've been doing this for many years, and I've always uploaded the stuff. Well, I did, with all the techie changes, got out of the habit of doing that, I was having some issues with the process. Well, I've since figured out a process that's much more efficient. So I'm now posting them, and I've got one posting every day until Tuesday, except for Sunday. I've turned it off for Sunday. So if you want to follow the podcast, you can find Ask a Traffic Cop Replay on pretty much everywhere, like iHeartRadio podcasts. You can get them on what the heck's it called? Spotify. You can get them on Apple podcast places. Okay. How does pacing work? This is tax time with Homes. Tax time with Homes. Hey, speaking of tax time, any accountants? If you are an accountant, one of our sponsors is the Accountant Institute. They're an online source for CPD or continuing professional development courses. They're giving away a free course if you go to their social media pages, which include Accountant Institute, Accountant TI on X. If you go to LinkedIn, wherever you find them, there's a code. You can fill out a form, get a code for a free course, but you could just buy their course because they charge, what is it, $3.99? No, it's regular $5.99. They're doing a $200 off promotion for the all-you-can-eat package. You can get all their courses. In any case, a free course to start can't hurt anybody, even if you're not an accountant. Well, probably better if you're an accountant. And they have an affiliate program. If you're an accountant and you want to sign up and then get your accountant friends to sign up, well, guess what? They'll pay you, like, for any referral. Go check it out. accountantinstitute.ca. I went off on a total tangent. So how does pacing work? It feels very hard to prove in court. That's what tax time with homes. It's not hard at all to prove in court, because anything I do as a police officer, I'm testifying to my observations. So if I use a speed measurement device to confirm my estimation of your speed, that works, but it's still me testifying to what I saw and did. If I'm pacing you with a motor vehicle and I say we maintain the same distance pacing, and my speedometer said the speed that I'm saying that I paced you at. So let's say you were doing 140, I was doing 140 before you. The gap between us did not change. I did not increase my speed catching up to you. I did not fall away. We maintained a 3-second following distance, but I measured that by looking at landmarks, posts, and after I passed the post, we were 3 seconds behind consistently. I knew that we were going the same speed. I then pulled them over and charged them. Now, I did things like I gave them the benefit of the doubt. Instead of charging them for 140, I moved it down to 130 to accommodate for any potential issue. I still laid a charge. Do you know why? Because speeding is speeding is speeding. The number of kilometers over the limit helped me determine the fine. But the offense is anything over the speed limit. So if you're doing 1 over, or if you're doing 50 over, well, 49, well, it depends on, I don't want to go into the stunt driving realm for this example, but if you are speeding 1 over, 20 over, 30 over, you're speeding. Again, the speed only goes to how much the fine is going to be. Just want to be aware of the time, 2 minutes to go time for the live stream. I just want to see if they're coming in to stand by. Testing. Hey, that's the it seems to be working. Okay. Just going to text the producer. I'm ready for you. Chime in and test before we go with Jerry. Okay. Oh, as I'm sending that text, I saw them jump in. No. Do we hear you? Can you give us a little audio bite? I hear you.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Hello.
How are you?
I can't complain. I think everybody can hear you too, so that's good.
Perfect.
We're ready when you are, and I'll just throw some graphics on the screen to signify the fact that we are joined by the great Jerry Agar
We are
and
up
crew.
right now.
Amazing. Okay, as you heard, that was Control. We're on with
You're
Jerry
listening
Agar
to Jerry Agar.
And I am joined by the TikTok former traffic cop, Sean Shapiro. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
We'll get to some listener questions, et cetera, in a bit, but there are a couple things I want to start on with you. We were talking here at the radio station early this morning about blocking the box. It's very irritating when you can't move through because somebody is sitting there. They can't clear the intersection. And immediately, several of my coworkers started to explain how they had blocked the box, but it wasn't their fault because the pedestrians did this or that, or a car turning right got in their way. And my position, which wasn't popular with the others, was, well, you failed to kind of look forward and do a little predicting of what the other people might do. You wanted to be the very last person through, and that's a part of what got you into that problem. We all have to be responsible for that issue.
You're not supposed to enter that intersection unless you've got a place to go on the other side. You must be able to clear the intersection before you enter it. You're not supposed to wait in line within the intersection, because then you end up blocking traffic and holding up and just creating this cascading effect where nobody goes anywhere. But I also understand the FOMO or the I'm not going to let another bozo get in my way, because if you leave space, if you don't jump on it, somebody else will. A person making a right turn on red, or someone trying to weasel in from another lane, whatever the case is, everybody wants to get through because it's a high stress situation. I got to get to there now. And it creates havoc on for traffic.
When traffic is so heavy that this becomes an issue, whether you're the last car through or not is really ultimately not going to move you through any quicker. I think you have to sometimes accept it is what it is.
And that's the attitude. You should come with patience packed for the trip. You should give yourself lots of time and not worry about the 10 seconds that you perceive you're going to win by pushing your way into things. And then of course there's the embarrassment of everyone looking at you and hating you while you've blocked that box, because no one's going anywhere now.
All right, let's move on to another thing here. I know you wanted to talk about this. There's a new report from the Board of Trade about traffic, and among the recommendations, drones carrying cones. I mean, that sounds like an SNL bit. I have no idea what this means.
I don't either. I think it's quite hilarious, but drone technology is out there and it distracts people. I think it's very useful. I'm a drone pilot myself. But I thought it was hilarious to read that they want to use it for managing traffic and cones. There is an element that I think humans need to be involved in. I think moving cones is one of them. But I'd love to see how they plan on utilizing drones for any of this, or if it was just an offhanded remark.
Well, what do they mean, though? You have drones that are carrying cones, and through cameras and various other things and AI, maybe you figure out we need to close a lane or something, and these drones just swoop down and set up the cones. Is that the idea?
I don't think we're there yet. I mean, a drone capable of holding the payload and lifting one and dropping it. I mean, Amazon does it for packages in certain areas. I don't think that's a downtown Toronto kind of situation. And maybe I'm wrong. I mean, they're being deployed now for response by police. So you can have drones all over the city, and they're the first ones to respond and have video eyes and feed it back to headquarters, so we know what's going on. They can get license plates and catch vital information. But how bad is it that to move a drone, we'd have to deploy something to fly across town? I don't think we're going to see that anytime soon, but I wait to be surprised. We'll see what happens.
All right. If you have a question for Sean Shapiro, he's going to spend the half hour with us. 416-872-1010, 872-1010 for calls and texts. And you can also call toll free at 877-518-5151, 518-5151. I had a real happy circumstance in traffic yesterday, Sean. I had dinner on the Danforth and was heading home, and I thought, oh my God, how's this going to go once I hit downtown Toronto? I made it from the Danforth to where I live in Etobicoke in like 20 minutes.
How? How did that happen?
I know. It was amazing. And that includes going through the loop-de-loop you have to go through to exchange between Danforth and the DVP. But I went down the DVP and onto the Gardner, and I never slowed down. It was incredible.
It's odd because I, for years, have been saying Toronto is an hour away from Toronto. And I got to be honest, I don't go downtown as much as I used to. I don't have to. And I think I'm happier for it. But the level of congestion, maybe everyone's just fed up and stopped going.
Maybe everybody took the night off last night, and I thank them for it. Now, there's a follow-up question to this blocking the box thing that I was arguing with my coworkers on. This person writes, what about when you're crossing at the light is green, you're crossing, and then someone makes a right turn and effectively forces you into the box? My position on that, Sean, is that if you did that, you were trying to be the very last person. You were pushing it, and then you're going to blame that other person who maybe shouldn't have made the right-hand turn. But the fact of the matter is you weren't paying attention and kind of projecting what's happening in front of you, and then you block the box and you want to blame everybody else.
So we have to take some things into consideration. Were you traveling at speed, or were you just waiting at the line and about to get in, and someone else took the opportunity after you started, entering the intersection? A lot of, it could be a little bit of everything. But if you were traveling and there was a clear place to go, well, the person making the right turn would have a clear place to go too. But if you're just trying to squeeze into that last spot, you're running the risk. And, if you're in the intersection and you're blocking the box temporarily while it's green, it's really not a big deal. If you've got that one car length and you've estimated that it's going to move, you're going to be okay. The problem is when you're wrong, when it goes from green to yellow to red and you're still in there, that's when you become liable. That's when you're going to get a ticket if the intersection is being observed, and that's when everyone's going to dislike you a lot. But you also want to make sure you're not blocking crosswalks when you're just trying to get it. It's a mess. And we've seen people go full light cycles. I've ticketed bus drivers who've blocked the entire box with a go bus. It's insane what some people will think they should do because they're on a schedule. One thing that article talked about was the potential of bringing in automated enforcement. And that's an interesting concept. There's already AI technology that can monitor all the intersections. Adding the ability to lay charges would be fantastic. But, not everyone's interested in cameras like I am. I think that guaranteed ticket, if you break the law, is a major incentive or way of dissuading people from doing the wrong thing.
I actually had a situation one night. It was after a Jays playoff game, going south on Spadina, and the box was blocked, and then a streetcar saw an opportunity to get halfway across. The streetcar driver pulled in, blocked the box. As he started to move later, another streetcar had already caught up to him. That's the flaw in the streetcar system. And that driver pulled up right behind, so that for several light changes, it was exclusively streetcars that were blocking the box. So when the mayor came out and talked tough about heavy fines for blocking the box, she needs to be looking at her own system.
There's a lot of issues, and I question. I mean, we're one of the very few cities in North America that have these kind of trams or streetcars. And I remember the buses that were electric, that you could actually have them pull over to the side. They got off at the curb. They didn't have all these issues with doors open and cyclists and motorists passing on the, like, a lot safer and not messing up with traffic the way that often these large articulated vehicles impact the area. So we've got to look at everything, and maybe it's about getting our technology for traffic signals working, that we know that they can cross and they don't cross until they have sufficient room to go. I don't mind the bypasses. If you look at the streets that have streetcar bypasses, they're very efficient. But then you take away lanes for regular traffic. It's a mess any way you cut it.
Here is Frank. What's your question, Frank?
The question I have, and thanks, Jerry, for taking the call, is for U-turns. They're so prevalent now. I drive most of the day, and people are just doing those. And tinted windows. People are doing all kinds of things, and they figure they can't be seen, and they just do it since no one can see them.
So I don't know if the tinted windows prevent anyone from seeing them make U-turns. That's like the invisibility cloak. But so U-turns are one issue. People do them very often. They do them on red lights, which is baffling. I don't understand why people think they can enter the intersection on a red light to make a U-turn. That's not lawful. You can't enter the intersection on a red light, at least for that purpose. And we talk about places where it's just simply unsafe. So the blanket statement for U-turns are they can't be done anywhere it's unsafe to do them. Obviously, if it leads to a collision, it wasn't safe. They can't be done where there's a crest of grade or a curve with no visibility for 150 meters. Anywhere there's a sign that says you can't have a U-turn, it's 150 meters. They can't be done in front of a bridge, viaduct, railway crossing. There's a lot of places you can't do it. And frankly, it's just not a good idea. I've had arguments with driving instructors who say there's nothing unsafe about them. Like, okay, if you do them and it doesn't cause a collision, they're unsafe. But we've seen people tragically lose their lives as a result of the mishaps amidst a U-turn. In terms of tinted windows are great, but often are dangerous. They reduce visible or nonverbal communication. They are simply bad at night. And the darker you go, not only could you be risking your visibility and your ability to see and be seen, but you could be breaking the law well beyond that. If you have more than 30% light blockage, being that less than 70% of visible light being transmitted through the window, it's unsafe for the road. You can have your license plates pulled.
All right, Frank, thanks for that call. We're going to continue with Sean Shapiro, the TikTok traffic cop, next on News Talk 1010.
I'm going to
News Talk 1010 time saver traffic.
Well,
definitely some slowdowns in and around the region.
Jack
we had some delays on the East 401 heading towards and past 12 line. It appears
he recently got a CDL and have points currently. So I don't know what your question is specifically, Jack. Jack is who I answered in the last live stream. Well, live stream on the 11th, but then published his clip separately today. And this is discussing points. So demerit points start their countdown from the time that you got your offense, even if they aren't added to your system. So let me break it down. You get charged today for an offense that has a 3 demerit point consequence on conviction. But it's today. Let's say it's a year from now that you are convicted or you pay today. So if you pay today, as soon as it's processed, those points are applied to your license today. If you are convicted in a year from now, it's a year in. There's another year until those points would expire. However, the conviction staying on your record stays from 3 years from that conviction. So we'll try it again. We have points and we have, let me see here, I'm on camera. Points and conviction. When I'm convicted, if I pay the fine immediately, both run at the same time, right? my points and my conviction, the points drop off in 2 years. There's another year until the conviction stops showing up on your current search. But if I wait a year, the points are already here, even though they haven't been applied. And then after a year, they fall off and you have 2 more years. So I hope that horrible description works for you. If it doesn't, ask me again. I'll figure out another obscure way to describe it. Okay. We got Jack. In Ontario, can you remove points in court at all? So the court system does not apply the points. The demerit points are applied by the Ministry of Transportation based on the trigger of a conviction. So if you say, listen, I'm happy to plead guilty to this offense, but I don't want the points, they can't control that. They have nothing to do with it. The only way to avoid points is to plead guilty to an offense that has no points. This is why people were so wild about getting their speeding tickets reduced. Because if your speeding ticket is 16 or over, there's demerit points. And if it's 15 or below, there's no demerit points. Why people are so worked up about points. Here's the funny thing. Insurance doesn't care about points. It's the conviction and what category the conviction is qualified for. It's not the number of demerit points. Demerit points is for getting rid of your license. Because if you keep accumulating them within a period of time, you're going to get a letter, then you're going to get suspended, then you're going to lose your license. Like, it's just the way it's going to work. Hope that helps you. Again, if you have more questions, please feel free to ask. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law. We're just in the break. We're on the air with Jerry Agar on News Talk 1010. They're at commercial break. We're chatting with our audience, and then our audiences are joined because we'll be talking about whatever we want to talk about. If you want to call in, you can dial 416-872-1010. You can actually call or text that number. You can also call toll-free 1-877-518-5151. If you're out of the area, you might be able to get your question or join us live on the air in Toronto on News Talk 1010. So let's see here. Thomas has a question. He says, hi, Sean. Are tractor trailer trucks allowed to drive in the left lane on collector lanes? For the purposes of going and switching from the collector to the on-ramp of the express, but they can't just hang out there. The left lanes are not for those vehicles. They're supposed to stay in the 2 right lanes, but if obviously they can enter for the purposes of merging to the other lanes. Yeah, it's interesting. They can't just hang out. Everyone treats them so bad. They must have like a complex. Okay. Oh. We got some folks on Instagram talking about stuff and things. I can't get over how many people freaked out over the video I posted on making a left turn at a red light on the magical red light from one way to one way. So I posted this on all platforms, but man, did people on Instagram go crazy with it. Over 700,000 views right now, but like under 10,000 views on TikTok. So what does that really mean? It means that apparently people on TikTok...
We're coming back shortly.
Thank you very much for the update. Apparently, they knew it. They weren't shocked. We'll be joined in just a moment, or we'll be back with News Talk 1010 in just a second. So I'm going to stop talking. Unless the moment's like a long moment. I'll just keep babbling for another second. I see Nikki.
On the go, take News Talk 1010 Toronto with you. Download, listen, and learn through the iHeartRadio app. Now back to Jerry Agar.
And I'm with Sean Shapiro, the TikTok former traffic cop. AskATrafficCop.ca is where you can find him. And of course, you can find him right here, right now, if you have a question for him. Sean, here's a question that was texted in. Remind me of the law and the protocol of oncoming traffic meeting an emergency vehicle on a multi-lane road with no median. Do we have to pull over?
Everybody's got to pull over if it's an undivided highway. And that's because police, fire, and ambulance may have to go into oncoming traffic to get where they have to go. So the best example between a divided highway where you don't have to stop for oncoming traffic, that's emergency vehicle traffic, versus an undivided, look at the 401. Nobody going eastbound is going to stop if a westbound ambulance is going. That's because there's no chance of those, coming in together. But Yonge Street, even if there's an island here and there for a traffic device, you're pulling over because they may have to come into your lane.
All right. Here is Michael. Go ahead, Michael.
Good morning, gentlemen. Yeah, a question. Does the TTC, per se, do they have a special dispensation that their vehicles can enter and go through intersections against a red light? The question is originating. I'm in the city often, core, And the streetcars in particular, I notice this happens, they will go out during an amber light, and then it's already turning green in your direction, and they're largely going through. This is not about the box like you were talking about earlier. It's just going through intersections like that regularly. And I realize because they can't get through otherwise, so they take advantage of the amber turning red light.
I think what they're doing is being very aggressive in that situation and pushing because they're on a schedule and they're going to be penalized, likely, if they're late. It's not that they're allowed to; they're breaking the rules. Now, if they've entered the intersection by having their front tires past the crosswalk,
Michael, listen to the answer.
Yeah. So if their tires have crossed, or if their bumper has crossed into the intersection, they're in the intersection. They're blocking a crosswalk. They're obligated to exit it, but they shouldn't be crossing that line until they can get through to the other side. They have no special privileges, and I see it abused all the time. Is it strictly enforced? Police officers are not prioritizing that behavior over other more serious behavior, but it doesn't make it okay.
Okay, thanks for that question. Appreciate it. Somebody writes, why do the police block live lanes of traffic and intersections for regular traffic stops when there are strip malls and car parks so close to where the interaction could continue?
Well, that a lot of that is going to be as quickly as possible. They're going to pull people over, and does it temporarily impact traffic? Sure, it does. I think it actually works well because people see that police are out there doing their job. If they hide off into the corner, other things can happen. But the biggest situation is we don't want to give them an opportunity to run. Wherever they are is a good place. We'll stop them right away. We won't give them time to think and plan. And that's not to say everyone runs. But if there's going to be an opportunity for someone to take off, we don't want to give it to them. And it may be something where alcohol or drugs or driving behavior or unlicensed situations could be at play. We want to stop them right away and deal with that situation. And if we can get them back on the road quickly, great. If it's going to be a few minutes, it's unfortunate. Very often, if it was something that was going to take a long time, I would relocate them after I get them to give me their identification. So we're not in a position of let's have a discussion for parking. And also, how does one communicate that? We're pulling them over, they pull over. If I have to talk to them, so at very least I have to get out and talk to them. At that point, we've already stopped, I've already blocked traffic for my safety and theirs. It's better to just deal with it as quickly as possible and have them back on the road.
If I was driving along and you came up behind me and your lights flip on, but it's only going to take me 15 seconds to get to the entrance to a mall parking lot, and I do that, are you going to be okay with that?
Well, it depends on the officer. If you take off quickly, it might look like you're trying to get away. If you're just driving slowly, or if you wave, if you give some indication, you might be okay. But the law says you need to pull over to the nearest edge or curb or edge of roadway. It's not shop for parking. Just do it right then, because your activity after that constitutes a failure to stop, and that's a breaking the law in itself. So you have to pull over to the nearest curb or edge of roadway right away in compliance with the law. We'll have that conversation. If we think it's safe and appropriate, we might move you, but that's okay. What it is.
All right. Now, if you listen to us on the iHeartRadio app, one way you can participate is click on the little microphone you'll see on the screen and give us a 30-second talk back. Laura did that.
I have a quick question. I witnessed a driver in a van in a mall parking lot speeding through, and a person was walking with his head down, and she almost hit him. My question is, she was yelling at him saying he should watch where he's going. Isn't the pedestrian always the person that is in the right?
So pedestrians don't automatically have the right of way anywhere. If they're lawfully in the roadway, they do. And no one can just say, someone's in the roadway, I'm going to hit them. That's not lawful. But if you are jumping out in front of traffic or walking into the path of traffic and the traffic has no ability to avoid it, that's going to put some onus and responsibility on the pedestrian, whether it be on the road or in a parking lot, in my opinion. Now, in parking lots, there was really, for the longest time, no charge to lay. Stunt driving applied once that came into play, but there was no charge. But we now have careless driving. And if it's determined that the person speeding through the parking lot is doing such a careless job of driving, cause bodily harm or death, and cause careless on its own, would be applicable charges that could be laid. So this concept that pedestrians don't have to pay any mind to what they do is false. They are responsible partly for their safety as well.
Okay, I worry about this, though. I'm worried that someday in Toronto I'm going to hit a pedestrian because, oh my God, they're irresponsible.
It's really unfortunate. Again, there's the misunderstanding and belief that they can do whatever they want, and it's everybody else's responsibility to protect them. And I'm a pedestrian sometimes. I want to make sure I'm safe, and I don't always feel safe. Shout out to crossing guards; they make me feel a lot safer when I walk my kids to school. But the deal is that you have to take responsibility. Put the phone away. Pay attention. Don't wear headphones. Look because those headphones block the ability to hear the revving engine as it's approaching. But just it's
Yeah.
a responsibility for everyone using the road, cyclists, pedestrians, and drivers alike.
Good question here from Sharon. If I'm making a right turn, I see a bike coming up behind me, but a distance away. Am I supposed to wait until the bike catches up to me and let them go through, or are they supposed to slow down and let me turn?
There's a little bit of play there. It would be hard for a cyclist to argue when they were, way, way, way back that they saw you turning and they didn't adjust anything, but they have a right of way, and they hit you. Right? It depends on where they hit you. There's going to be an investigation as to how that works. I love dash cameras for this reason, front and back. But if you are questioning whether or not they're going to make it before you make a turn, you're already telling me that you should have waited. Because if it was a question in your mind, you saw them, you couldn't quite determine if it was far enough. Well, it's no different than a car approaching when you're making a left turn. You need to use caution, and you should err on the side of caution by letting them go. Do they have to slow down if it's a protected bike lane versus a shared lane? There's actually, it's all about avoiding the collision, regardless of what the law says, in my opinion. Because I don't think there is a specific law that gives you a direction as to what you can do, other than you must yield to them if they're going to be interfered with.
Find Sean Shapiro at all times at askatrafficcop.ca. Thanks very much.
Always a pleasure, Jerry. Be well.
Yep. Here's the deal. There was no easing into the first question period in 102.
All right. We've said goodbye to Jerry et al. The gang, thanks to News Talk 1010. That's always fun. If you've got a question about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff, jump in the comments. Let me know. That's what I do. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And the other stuff too. We talk about donuts. We're talking about drones. We talk about home fortification. I'm involved with a company called ClearGuard, and their mission is to make your home safer. How do they do that? Well, if you let them, they will install coatings on your windows that make it real hard to break in. Really pisses off the bad guys who get frustrated. I've seen all the videos where they're banging with rocks and sticks and crowbars and baseball bats and often pew-pews, and they give up because it's too much work and they're lazy buggers. So I shout out to ClearGuard, clearguard.ca if you want more information about the services they offer. If you're an accountant or no one, make sure you tell them to go visit the magical Accountant Institute. Not only do they offer CPD courses, but they also give you access to Barrett Tax Law. See, they're connected. Barrett Tax Law is one of the leading tax legal peeps on the planet, well, Canadian, and they do all that kind of stuff. And when you're a member of Accountant Institute, they give you some free perks and access to all the primaries books. Dale Barrett wrote a bunch of books, and you get all those books. It's kind of funky. Now, obviously, I know Dale, and I say this without reservation that he's a cool guy. Anyway, I've known Dale for a very, very long time. Okay, let's see here. E-Town says, as a former Toronto cop, how much corruption do you believe is in the force? I've made videos about this. I don't think there's a lot of corruption. I think there's corruption everywhere, whether it's doctors, lawyers, accountants, priests, clergy, anywhere. There's people in those uniforms, and people sometimes make dumb choices or actively make criminal ones. So I don't think there's a lot of it. I think, as I've said before, 99.99999% of coppers and doctors and lawyers are good people who want to help others. And occasionally there's somebody who's an ass and wants to take advantage of their power and authority, whatever that is. So I couldn't give you a number, but I did this discussion where someone said they thought 1% or 0.1% was way too low. And I disagree. I think it's very rare. And I'll tell you one thing that I consistently say. Nobody hates a bad cop more than a good cop. In that, good cops hate bad cops. Nobody wants their uniform to be dirtied by the blemish of someone who is corrupt. I don't think there's a lot of it, like I said, but there's no question that there is corruption internationally. We know this. Okay, let's go back to some Nikki Lasagna stuff because I saw Nikki Lasagna who said, "On with Jerry." Cool. And then they went on to say, I mean, Tesla puts on a pretty good drone show, so I'm sure it's possible to program them. Yeah, this concept of drones for moving heavy equipment in the city, when you could just have someone go, like, it just seems like a lot of work and risk. So I don't see it happening, but I remain open to being corrected by tech. Okay. Oh, Brandon says we should get tougher on road rage as I see it here, more here than in Florida. Oh, you're saying in Canada there's more road rage? Do you know what the difference is between road rage in Canada versus states that allow carrying firearms? Firearms. I think that people are politer. I think in armed society is a polite society. I think here people believe they can bully their neighbor because what are they going to do? Pew them? Well, in the States, that could be the response. Did anyone see the, what's it called? Mike, what the heck is his name? I've forgotten it now. Richardson, what's his name? Stand by. He like punched out his neighbor, and originally it's Alan Richson. He's the Reacher star. By the way, I love the Reacher series. I was a little disappointed because he sort of came out as an anti-police guy, and maybe that's I took it out of context, but he really offended me because I think he unfairly spoke out against police. And now I understand he has his own personal issues. They might be worse as a result of punching the crap out of his neighbor. But the story is that he was riding his motorcycle and with his kids in his neighborhood, and his neighbor ends up in a punch up with him. Now, at first, the first version of the very skewed, and this is where media sucks, because media first shared a video where it's just him pounding on the guy, going Reacher on his ass. Well, that's one thing. But now it comes out that the guy admits to having put hands on Alan first. So if you're going to touch someone, and that someone happens to be 6'5" and a brick, the man's a beast, right? If you're going to put hands on that man and not expect to get your teeth handed to you, I think you deserve what's coming to you. You can't assault someone. And what he did, if it is accurate that he pushed or hit Alan first, well, that's self-defense versus the initial story, which made it look like Alan just went to town on this guy. Anyway, I think this is fascinating. What do you think? It's a polite. If everyone was built like Alan Richardson, would anyone mess with them? They just fight. I don't know. In any case, road rage bad. That's the story. Tactical Aquatics says, "Good morning, Sean. I hope you're ready for the good weather." Oh, yes, absolutely, I am. I am done with the crap weather. We have a question follow-up from Tactical Aquatics who says, "Is it legal to install LED light pods, off-road lights on the car?" Installing them versus using them, yes, you can install them, but you can't use them on off-road only lights or off-road only. And then follow-up question for the LED off-road lights, can I use it on city roads? Would the police give me a ticket for using it? Likely. So the issue is you can have no more than 4 headlights facing forward that are on, and a headlight, a beam headlight for that purpose is something with over 350 candela, if I'm not mistaken. If you have more than that, you're breaking the law, expect a ticket. If you are shining light in a color or direction that you're not allowed to, expect a ticket. So yeah, you should not be utilizing off-road lights on road, and they're not rated for on-road, right? Like they're not directed, they're not controlled beams, like the big giant light bars that go on the top of the vehicle, not permitted on road with 160 LED bulbs or more, just not okay. So I hope that answers your question. But off-road, you fill your boots, you do your thing, right? That's all good. Let's have a look here. We've got, what am I looking at here? Oh, I see. Okay. We talked about that. Jack, you're very welcome. Tim says, in regards to TTC, if the vehicle is full of passengers, safer to go through than hurting passengers. If they're in motion, I totally get it. A TTC bus full of passengers at speed that can't safely, they're past the point of no return. So they are going to, they're going to keep going because slamming on the brakes is not okay. But we're talking about someone who's stopped. They're already stopped. and now they're putting their vehicle into motion once it's turned yellow or green. It's very different. That's the scenario I was talking about. They're stopped and then they push their way into the intersection and go and end up blocking the lane or just going through on the yellow from a stop position. Again, if they're in motion, I absolutely agree with Tim in that slamming on the brakes with a bus full of passengers is unsafe, and that would be not something that I would have an issue with. I would not have an issue with them protecting and doing the right thing for the sometimes 100 people on board. Like it makes total sense. Let's see. What time is it? How long have we been talking? An hour and 6 minutes. I'm going to be back tomorrow, right? I do this at 9 p.m. on Wednesdays. I do this at 10 a.m. on Tuesdays. And of course, now I've got, I've been chopping up clips from the March 11th show. So now I've got 2 shows to create edits. And I think there's a lot of great content here that I'll be using for clips. So I'm so glad that you spent time with me. I appreciate you and your attention to traffic safety and just wanting to know stuff and things. Let's have a quick look here. Yes, Brandon says Alan's neighbor tried to play cop and it backfired. I agreed. He says, I had to do something. I decided I was going to stand up to his motorcycle riding. No, dum-dum, you call the police and the police handle it. That's what the police are for. Instead, dum-dum assaulted someone and may have charges laid against him. Don't be a cop unless you're a cop. Cops are cops. I'm not even a cop anymore. I wouldn't do that. No, I would call the police and be the best witness I could be. What is this? According to Nicholas Rizzi, there's nothing but corruption in the accounting world. So much so the NWA was supposed to write a song called F the Accountants, but we showed them tax return and they changed the lyrics. That's hilarious. And thank you for the reminder from Akela, who says, joke video. I totally have it ready to go, but I minimized my screen, so let me pull this back up. Thank you, Akela, for reminding me. I would not want the jokes to go unseen. And this time we have a video. Here's Akela Draconis.
Greetings and salutations from the bright, sunny location of Madoc. It's bright and sunny today, which is yesterday, so I have to record this. So I guess we'll find out if it's actually sunny today, tomorrow, which would be today. Anyway, this is Akela Draconis with today's jokes for the show. Why don't they serve chocolate in prison? Because it makes you break out. Why do chess players search for love in Central Europe? They prefer checkmates. The general issued a rousing battle cry, "Onward to victory!" An hour later, an urgent message was delivered to him. Need further instructions. Victory not on our maps.
I didn't get that one.
And we have this one. Make me one with everything, said the Buddhist to the tofu dog vendor. After he got his tofu dog, the Buddhist handed the vendor a $20 bill. The vendor took the money and began helping the next customer. The Buddhist looked puzzled. He asked the vendor, "Where's my change?" The vendor replied, "Change comes from within." Yeah, that's a good one.
Not bad.
So now we'll get a quote from Gloria Steinman. Without leaps of imagination or dreaming, we lose the excitement of possibilities. Dreaming, after all, is a form of planning.
I love it. I appreciate him so much that he put the time in to send me the jokes. Akela was sending me daily emails or texts at the it was at the beginning of every show. He'd send me a list of all the jokes and I'd flag them for later. And I did not, in the excitement of this episode, remind everybody they can submit their jokes. But you know what? I would open this up. If you want to send me jokes by video, by text, whatever, you send it into the show. Love to see what you got. Tactical Aquatics wants to know if I'm a gas barbecue, wood barbecue, or charcoal barbecue person. I'm of the laziest barbecue people. I have natural gas barbecue, and the reason being is I'm tired of filling up propane, and I barbecue regularly. Do I acknowledge the better the better flavoring of the wood pellets or the or charcoal? Absolutely. But I don't have the time or the energy. I want to turn it on and cook. And actually, my purchase was influenced heavily by Brandon, because Brandon's a chef. So I asked Brandon what he thought of buying a wood. It's the smoker. I was going to buy a smoker. In fact, I had purchased a smoker at Costco. It was a floor model of what they were selling on a roadshow. And I was going to pick it up, and I told him, I just bought this. And he says, that's going to take longer to cook, not shorter. And I'm like, I'm going to return it. I bought at Costco a Weber, which was the suggestion of my friend Brandon. Okay. Here's a joke from Tactical Aquatics. I hope it's clean because I didn't read it. After an unsuccessful harvest, why did the farmer decide to try a career in music? Because he had a ton of sick beats. It's just, okay. All right. Let's see here. We got Carl Freeman. How's it going, my friend? He says, have a nice day, Sean. He says 73 means he's a ham. Because 73 is a sign off for ham. Ham radio. Are you an amateur radio operator? If you're not, you should be. And if you don't know why, well, we can talk about that later. Yeah, you're probably not. It's work. It's not easy. People are not generally fond of work, but amateur radio is, I think, worth the work. It's kind of cool. My call sign, I'll let you guess it. VE3 VOC, voice over cop. I didn't let you guess it. I just told you. All right, I got to go. It's been a slice. Tomorrow at 9 p.m., I will be back to do this all over again and chill out, talking traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff with you. In the meantime, drive safe, drive sober, have a laugh, enjoy life. We just want to be good to each other. That's what we should be. We should be focused on just being good to each other. All right, I'm out.